All right, y'all, this is our take. This is Mark the moderator.
Banks.com, the game is the game always.
Leaf is only family, Brooklyn forever.
Maybe the process, 8D.
All right, so I just want to catch all our viewers up right now. The Jacob Blake boycott has happened in sports. The NBA is not playing its playoff games. They're tonight, Wednesday night. Also, the WNBA has postponed their games, which I think I'm going to call it a boycott as well, because they have shut down. Several Major League Baseball teams are not playing their games. They're tonight for the same reason. So now that this has happened, y'all, this is a statement. What you think happens next, and what's the next move for the players of all sports?
Yeah,
That's a good question. That's a good question. Who knows, man? Who knows?
What would you like to see? Let me.
Are they boycotting their players?
Preface that way. What would you like to see the players do going forward now that this step is taken?
Well, I kind of like the steps I've already seen. I like the fact that the Bucks was on the phone with the Attorney General. I think what we want to see is, like, you know, us have a seat at the table. We definitely want to see an end to qualified immunity. That has to go today. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't think what we asking for is that crazy, man. We just want people to be held accountable for these things, man. You know, listen, there's certain jobs that you can have where 75%, 90% is going to get it done. You know, you could be off your game at certain. I could be off my game at my job. Nick could be off his game in certain aspects of his job. You could make certain mistakes. There are jobs, police officer, pilot, you got to show up 100% of the time. There is no time for mistakes or doing something wrong. And when you make a mistake, people die, and you have to be held accountable for it. I think that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. If we're talking real tangible things, first thing I want to see is end to qualified immunity across the country.
Okay. All right. Leaf?
Accountability. I've been saying it for a while, and I'm gonna continue to say it. That's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that these cops aren't held accountable for their actions. You know what I mean? The cops that killed Breonna Taylor is still at home chilling. I don't know if these cops in the incident yesterday were arrested yet. I doubt it.
No, they haven't been.
I doubt it, but they
still on the force. They on administrative leave.
Yeah,
they still getting paid.
They need to be. And another thing I want to see, though, I want to see cops held to a higher standard than civilians, right? Like, they shouldn't get 48 hours to get their story straight.
Leave, that's qualified immunity. That's part of qualified immunity.
All right. So I didn't know that, but thank you. All right. So, yeah, what Banks said, right? So, like, I want to see all that, but I definitely want to see these dudes be held accountable like anyone else, because you are the people that has the training. You know what I mean? You're the people. Like, this is the job you signed up for. You go, what is it, 6 weeks? I know what the police academy is. I believe there's 6 to 8 weeks training, which isn't a lot. I think they need more. They should be actually trained like the military, if you ask me. And Banks was in the military, so he knows exactly what that training is about. But they just got to be held accountable, man. If no one is,
well, I would sorry, Leaf, I would say even more training, because the army's like 8 weeks. The Marines is like 3 months. They need you're enforcing the law. Lawyers have to go to law school for 3 years. And yet, you know, that's just the practice law. To enforce the law, you go to 6 weeks of training, 8 weeks of training. Come on now. That's just not enough.
But yeah. I just want to see people be held accountable, man. If you held accountable, then you don't got to worry about protesting and all that stuff, man. Hold them to the same a higher standard than you hold us.
But Leaf, the question that I want to get into is, what do you want to see from the players, not what
okay, from the players. What I want to see from the players?
Forward, that.
Yo, listen, man, shut this bitch down, bro. Shut it down. It's a wrap. We done. It's a wrap.
Okay.
Well, it's a wrap. I don't want to see them back on the court. Now, if they get back on, I'm going to watch because I'm a sports fan. But shut it down, man. I didn't want them there in the first place.
Avery?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with everybody's sentiments. I mean, they shouldn't be there. What I want to see from the players, and you know, Banks had made a good point of saying, you know, we want a seat at the table, but I feel like this, man, like I'm not asking for a seat at your table no more. I'm crashing your dinner party every time you do something to my people. Like, like it has to be that way. Like, there's no more civility here. It has to be LeBron, like, because Mark always says this. LeBron says, yo, you know what? What happened? We ain't playing tonight. On the Jack, none of us is playing tonight. It has to be like that. It has to be low. Yo, you know what? Y'all not selling my jersey no more. It has to be like that, man. Because the only way, like we talk about all the time, to hit these people is in their pockets. That's the only way they're going to listen. All right, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to crash your dinner party. You're not selling my jersey. You're not having my likeliness. You know, these things got to happen. These things got to happen at the CBA level too also. You know, I find it very interesting, Mark, you brought up a good point about how there was this whole narrative of, yo, we couldn't kneel at the anthem in the NBA. Then all of a sudden we got kneeling at the anthem at the NBA. Again, trying to pacify us. Yo, how about I not even show up when you play your anthem? How about you stop playing that anthem at the beginning of the games? And until you do that, I ain't playing. Like, I'm sorry. Like, yo, we got to get to the point where you the guy, you're talking to somebody, and you're showing them your pistol. Like, yo, check this out. This is what it's going to be. And it's there's no more negotiating. Like, that has to stop because we have the power. And Mark, I know we allude to this all the time. If us as people of color only knew how much power we hold in this country, we'd be such a driving force. But we buy into the fact that we are the minority. We buy into the fact that we need them. We buy into the fact that we gotta have, you know, our contracts, or my family is gonna suffer. We buy into that. Yo, listen, we all black. We all come from struggle. You know what I'm saying? I was born in a financial crisis, G. So I don't want to hear nothing about people talking about they broke if they don't play. Stop it. We got to do something drastic. And this is we're on the cusp of that right now.
Yo, if you want to hear drastic, gentlemen, this is what I see it as right now, in this moment. I would right now, LeBron James, you know, what I'm looking at is Patty Moe, getting these big names athletes and to come to a table and have a summit among them and to start baseball, all of the top baseball players, all the top football players, basketball players, hockey players too, get them at the table. College players, get them at the table. And you hold your own summit at this point in time and start letting them know and make a declaration. If we're going to do a boycott, let's do it like we know it has worked in there in the past. Don't talk about we are postponing. Nothing is coming back in the world of sports until you start changing things like qualified immunity. When you start holding, just like Lee said, holding people accountable, day one, we want to change laws. We want to see senators at the table. We want to see congressmen at the table. We want to be able to have owners at the table. So now we can all collectively start saying true change can happen through this means here, because the most generating money which y'all make is through sports, right? You have to get the studio, you have to get these major television companies at the table. Start letting them understand the power is right here at this table. We're going to make change. We're going to pressure Washington to make change. And until that change comes about, until we see black and white laws on the books, sports end until further notice. That's when you will have the power to say shit will definitely change. Because everyone knows, like Lee said, like Banks said, it comes down to the almighty dollar. If you eliminate sports, the almighty dollar will hurt a lot of owners, a lot of investors.
Billions.
Vegas. You're talking about crippling. You're talking about now being able to hold things in your hand and say, we want to see change from this shit happening again. And that's the only way. And this is the start.
But you know what's so crazy? A lot of people don't real quick, Vance, I'm sorry. A lot of people don't realize how powerful sports is in this country. right? So I see people saying, oh, what is them not playing basketball going to do? Oh, you see what it's going to do. It's being talked about. And it's affecting these networks that paid to have these games being showed, right? All these companies that paid for their ads to go on during these games, like it's a trickle down effect. And at the end of the day, like money or violence. We ain't gonna be violent, right? Because we're gonna be called animals and all this shit. So we're gonna attack your bread. We're gonna attack your bread. Like I like what Avery said, like, yo, showing the hammer, like, yo, listen, this is what it is, bro.
What it is.
Like, yo, this ain't your block no more. Plain and simple.
Y'all know how I feel about LeBron. I think he's a GOAT. I think he's right behind Jordan. If you want to talk about actually him surpassing Jordan, to me, I'm talking about social change. If LeBron would have came out and said, yo, forget y'all discussing this game, forget the Magic and the Bucks discussing this game, nobody stepping on the court. None of us are stepping on the court. We shutting it down. He can cement his legacy as the GOAT of all time to me if he's willing to put his basketball legacy on the line. That's just for me.
Listen.
I want to shout out to the Bucks. I think we need to shout out the Bucks though.
No, Bucks, major props. Major props.
Because Boston and Toronto was just talking about it. The Bucks didn't even let nobody know it was going down. Talking. Avery, they had their gun out. Like, yo, this is what it is.
And Mark, a real quick point about that. Sorry, but a real quick point about that. If you really want to think about it, their biggest star is not a Black American. Matter of fact, we probably rank third on his list of things that he identifies. He is Greek, he's Nigerian, and then he's a Black American. And he was down with this.
Yo, listen.
He didn't care about his legacy in terms of basketball.
2.5 years ago, I called out the Bucks for how they handled Sterling Brown, what he went through, one of their players. I can definitely say they rebounded the ball. They scored on this one here for what they just did. They started the ball and they didn't wait. But I want to say this also. Toronto Raptors were, and Boston was, like you said, was talking about. This was coming. This is something that when you see the video, it hits home once again, just like George Floyd. It hits home once again. The saddest thing is this. It's not going to be the last one. It's going to happen again. And that's why you now got to start doing things, because you know in our heart of hearts, this shit has not ended. This is not the last time. So I just want to put
Kenosha,
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, Kenosha, Wisconsin is like 70 miles away from Milwaukee. And like you said, the Sterling Brown incident. They also got the incident. It's a center that used to play for North Carolina. I can't remember the dude's name. Pulled up to the Rolex store and they called the cops because they thought he was trying to break into the store.
Yep.
God, man, I can't remember the kid's name.
Ed Dixon. Ed.
No, it wasn't Ed Dixon, man. It's another kid, man. Light-skinned, tall kid.
Okay.
And on top of it, the Thabo Cephalosha incident. That didn't happen with the Bucks.
Yeah.
That the dude that's the coach of the Bucks now was Thabo's coach when it happened. The nightclub out in New York City where they shot him.
Look at the GM for the Raptors, kid. Again, see all these things. There's so many lines to it, man. It doesn't stop. That's why I applaud what's going on right now. But now you got to keep going to the next level. The Bucks just now made a statement. The players came out in unison and they made a statement. And let me say this, and I think it's something that we as a people got to stop doing. We don't have to identify where blackness comes from. At the end of the day, if you identify as being a black man, you're a black man. I don't care what your origin is. I'm going to say this. That team of 16 players stood up here today and did something that I've been talking about, and a lot of us sitting here didn't think would ever happen. We have to give props for the fact is that we've seen something new in our lifetimes that we haven't seen before ever, that a team to boycott, stop a playoff game based upon social justice over black people. Let's just keep it in that frame, because we got to understand that.
Big facts.
All right. Yo, on that note, y'all, this is our take. We'll be right back. Peace.
Peace.
This is our take.